Now you're hurling. Lorna Porca with Tomás McCarthy on WLR.
Thanks to PwC Waterford.
Welcome back to Lorna Porca here on WLR with thanks to PwC Waterford. Well, we'll be hurling in the years over the next couple of weeks, reflecting on some great Daoise victories. Well, this week it's a flashback to the 2002 Munster final when Waterford won their first provincial title in 39 years. Well, Brian Flannery was cornerback on that occasion as he marked Tipperary danger man Lark Corbett. Well, the following day, the Mount Sion man shared the front page with Brazilian World Cup winner Ronaldo, who had scored 2 goals to beat Germany in the final on the same day that Waterford were crowned champions.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned there about the World Cup and the soccer. I think the following day, I think it was in the Independent, there was a picture of Ronaldo from Brazil with the cup, and I was holding the Munster trophy as well. I think once we won it, I think I robbed the cup off of Fergal and I wouldn't give it back. So it's a nice memory to happen that the both happened on the same day. But yeah, no, it's amazing. The years fly, but and I think sometimes we forget, how important that day was and the breakthrough. I think it's often, I suppose, forgotten that we actually beat a Tipperary team that were All Ireland champions at that stage, and a Tip team that had hammered Limerick in the semi-finals. So to the hurling world, it was a bit of a shock result.
Yeah, I was just looking through some of the post-match reaction from Justin McCarthy after that game, and he mentioned that he brought in some of the 1963 team in the build-up to that game. Did that have a big impact on the group beforehand, Brian? Yeah,
I remember up in Welsh Park, in the run-up to the game, the likes of Martin Oak Morrissey coming in, to talk to the players. I think there was about 4 or 5 of players from that era. Yeah. And it does sort of, as a player, dawn on you, that it was so long. That Frankie Welsh, I think, was there as well. It was great to see those men, and they were sort of hoping to be relieved of having been the last team to win a Munster championship from Waterford, and it was certainly overdue.
Yeah, it certainly was, and he paid a visit to Páirce Queeve in the build up as well, and I think Justin was pretty happy with how we were hurling on that particular night.
Yeah, I think it was probably the Tuesday night before the game. We went down to Páirce Queeve. Not terribly unusual, I suppose, to try have a run out on the pitch. But we played a game that night among ourselves. Now it's probably these days they probably think it's too close to be playing but we had a full-blooded game for probably only about 20 minutes. And I think it was going so well they just decided to blow it up and just leave it at that. Said, hold on, we better keep a bit of keep our powder dry for Sunday. But yeah, there was a sense of confidence, and Páirce Queeve, I suppose, is a venue that we'd beaten Tipperary in '98. We were comfortable with the surroundings, and Justin was certainly very comfortable down there. But yeah, I think the run into the game, we sort of knew we were in the right place, I suppose, and that things were going well. Yeah,
and to the game itself, Brian, you were against the breeze in the first half, but you went in only a point behind, 110 to 1-9. What was the atmosphere like in the dressing room during the interval?
Yeah, I suppose, look, we were after playing against a strong breeze, and we went in, we're only a point behind, so we felt, yeah, look, this is our moment. There was definitely a very strong sense among the players that, look, this is it. It's we're only a point down, we have the breeze, and I suppose we were. The confidence was brimming, and it was. I was even getting a bit worried that we were being overconfident, because I remember the last thing I said to players before we left the dressing room was, "Lads, don't forget we're still a pint down here. We
exactly,
have to. Yeah. We actually have to go out and do this." But we did. But there was huge confidence. It's funny sometimes, I suppose, and that particular panel had been together for a number of years. We had relative success. Reaching a league final. Reaching an All-Ireland semi-final, losing to Kilkenny by a point. We had a few hard luck stories, I suppose, at that stage, and it was certainly a line in the sand. We weren't leaving Páirce Queeve without having won a Munster title, and there really was that sense of confidence. But then you have to back it up, and I think the second half we were far the better team, and as I said, we probably should have won by a bit more, to be honest.
Yeah, and you had real fresh blood coming on the scene as well, with the likes of Owen Murphy, Owen Kelly, John Milan, Owen McGrath. That must have really added what you had, I suppose, back in '98.
Yeah, and I think I often said it, the difference 2002 were the three Owens, Owen Murphy, Owen McGrath, Owen Kelly. They were three players that didn't start the year before, or weren't part of it, and they made a huge difference. There weren't just three players coming onto the panel, there were three players that went straight into the team. And that made a huge difference. And players coming in, can make a difference to a panel, but players coming in to a first 15, can make a huge difference. And we were fortunate to have those young players in 2002 that we didn't have the year before, and that really proved the difference. And I suppose it was ironic that for all the years Gerald was with us and all the good work, it was the following year when, as I said, just that injection of a couple of new players made the difference.
Yeah, and you mentioned Gerald there, and I thought it was a nice touch from Fergal Hartley on the day to mention Gerald in his speech, and also some of the players that had served in the years previous as well.
Absolutely. I mean, players like Stephen Frampton, Sean Cullen, these are guys that had done so much, or certainly in my time in the previous years, that made a difference, that got us back to, I suppose, a situation where we were competitive, where players could see the potential to win titles, and the encouragement, I suppose, for younger players coming into the panel, and just to try that little bit more. I mean, there's a big difference, in relation to even commitment. I mean, you see it in football, like, teams that have a chance of winning a title and teams that have no chance. The level of commitment is different, and we went from that situation where we're probably nobody's favourite to win anything or to compete in anything, to a stage where we were, at half time in a Munster senior hurling final, a pint down with the breeze at our backs in the second half. And that happened over a pretty 4 or 5 year period. So all those men, I think it was correct and right, and no better man than Fergal to remember guys that he had soldiered with for a number of years previously.
And what do you recall about the post-match celebrations? Brian, I suppose their supporters are a bit caged in, but he could certainly savour it out in the field.
Yeah, I mean, it was, it wasn't quite like Iceland at the Euros, but it wasn't too far off it, because I remember once we got the cup, and I remember getting it from Fergal Hartley, and that's probably why my picture ended up in the paper. But taking the cup back to the terrace, all the Waterford supporters had remained. You probably had John Milan climbing up onto terrace.
One McGrath as well, I think. Yeah.
Into the terrace, I'd say, probably at that stage. But yeah, it was a huge moment, and as I said, it even coming home, I remember coming back in from Cork on the bus. Stopping in Youghal, walking across the bridge in Youghal, a very symbolic, moment for players and for, family members that was there, and for Justin as well. As I said, we were literally bringing the cup back, and as I said, it had been such a long time. I think, as I said, maybe in recent years with having won it, the Munster title, a number of titles, you maybe forget the how important, I suppose, that victory was. But it was very special. And then coming back to Dungarvan, and it was a hastily arranged, homecoming. I can absolutely say there was no bus booked or no platform, or there was certainly the county board couldn't have been accused of getting ahead of themselves or anything. No. So I think it was all done on the back of a cigarette box over 5 minutes, and after the game in the dressing room, everything was hastily arranged. But it was great, and as I said, memories like that last a lifetime.
Points the shoulders at the uprights. Makes no mistakes, and the opener to Waterford. We wanted a good start, we've got it.
Lying in the dark, this hell we've endured. Born in a time of no glory. Blood, sweat and tears for 39 years. The time for McCarthy has come.
The hurlers have yet to deliver. They might do it today.
If you aim high, pull and let fly. The danger has come for its glory. We've tried in the past, this time it will last. 3 ships set sail for glory.
A great score by Milan. Great score by Milan.
Hurling is a game, your skill skill it demands, wisdom and wit they play their part. Champions are made from legends of past, 3 ships set sail in our hearts.
He's on the run out, takes his shot, goal! It's a goal! The man has done it again! All friends of Ireland, the Euro and the crown of
Dig deep, aim high, the fans will cry, our name will be on that trophy. We'll never give up till we lift the cup. McCarthy will tell our story.
Good catch again by Hurling, who's having a blinder. But the ball's in the middle of the half. He fails to hold it. Back to Owen Kelly. Can he get the equaliser? He does! Superb score by Owen Kelly.
Dig deep, aim high, pull and let fly. The day sure has come for its glory. We tried in the past, this time it will last. 3 ships set sail for glory.
Long ball, breaking down to Tony Brown. He pulls, it's goal! It's goal! Again, O'Connor! Lovely score by Ken. Right off the brother, getting on to Prendergast. He takes a shot. It's over the bar! It's over the bar on the back of the lead.
Now you're hurling. Lorna Porca with Tomás McCarthy on WLR.
Thanks to PwC Waterford.